Alright, YouTube. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over some bills that were introduced into the House. I haven't seen a channel that does this yet. So, I'm going to start trying to do it. Just because, you know, I'm curious about what these politicians got going on. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that are. So, let's just go through the list. S14, 117th Congress, 2021-22. As you can see, a bill to identify and combat corruption in countries, to establish a tiered system of countries with respect to levels of corruption by their government and their efforts to combat such corruption, and to evaluate foreign persons engaged in grand corruption for inclusion as specifically designated nationals under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. This bill is sponsored by Senator Benjamin Cardin, a Democrat from what is MD? What is MD? Cardin, Maryland. Okay. So it's introduced by this guy. And right now it's just introduced. It's been read twice and referred to the Committee on Foreign Relations. Alright. Bill number 2, S15, 117th Congress. A bill to require Federal Trade Commission to submit a report to Congress on scams targeting seniors and for other purposes. Sponsored by Senator Klobuchar, Amy Klobuchar of, I believe that's Democrat from Minnesota. She's on the Committee, Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Read twice and referred to the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. It's introduced. S16, a bill to amend Title 18, United States Code, to prohibit taking minors across state lines in circumvention of laws requiring the involvement of parents in abortion decisions. That's introduced by Senator Rob Portman, a Republican from Ohio. So basically, I guess this bill is to kind of crack down on potential people trying to get abortions crossing state lines to get those abortions done when their state doesn't allow it. So it's kind of a abortion law, which, I mean, I'm going to try not to be partisan towards any of these bills, so I'm not going to make any comments on any of these bills. I'm just reading them out to you. You can come to your own conclusion about the bill, what you think. And like I said, I'm going to read out the sponsors of these bills, and if you agree with these bills or disagree with these bills, you're more than welcome to message these sponsors of these bills and let them know what you think. Let your voice be heard. Alright. S17, a bill to amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to provide for inadmissibility of certain aliens seeking citizenship for children by giving birth in the United States and for other purposes. So my take on that is basically to keep people from coming over here having a baby, you know, people that are pregnant coming over here having a baby just so their baby can be considered a citizen. And that's from a Republican of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Like I said, come to your own conclusion about these bills. So basically what I get from that bill is it's trying to stop illegal immigrants from coming over, having a baby just so that their baby can be considered an American citizen, which I thought we already had laws in place for that, but you know, an illegal alien doesn't really follow the laws, you know, they kind of break them to begin with. So, S18, a bill designated to designate the facility of the United States Postal Service located at 229 Minnetonka Avenue South in Wyatt, Minnesota as the Jim Rand's Post Office, by Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota. I guess this is just to rename that postal service. That's what it sounds like to me. Alright, Bill 6, a bill to authorize the administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency to approve state and local plans to partner with small and mid-sized restaurants and nonprofit organizations to provide nutritious meals to individuals in need, to waive certain matching fund requirements, and for other purposes. This is from Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina. It's just introduced. So I guess this is just to try and coordinate an effort for local governments and things to coordinate with local restaurants to try and get meals out to people who need them. All right. S20, a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to modify the global intangible low tax income by repealing the tax-free deemed return on investments and determining net CFC tested income on per country basis. This is from Amy Klobuchar. She's been introduced in a few, hasn't she? Democrat from Minnesota. If I read this correctly, it sounds like they're just trying to close a loophole. Trying to close a loophole to for investments, company investments and things like that. Like I said, you can read into these bills. I'm not going to get into them right here. This is just the first video I'm making about this. If it has any traction whatsoever, then maybe I'll get into actually breaking down these bills one by one and things like that. Alright, S21, a bill to extend the period of temporary authority to extend contracts and leases under the ARMS Initiative. That's from Joni Ernst, Republican from Iowa. So basically, it takes the temporary authority they already have and to extend the contracts and leases under the ARMS Initiative. I'm not sure what the ARMS Initiative is. If you would like to read in more into that, that's up to you. Alright, a bill to designate... Number 9, S22, a bill to designate the mountain at the Devil's Tower National Monument in Wyoming as Devil's Tower and for other purposes. I'm not sure. I mean, if it's already named Devil's Tower National Monument and they want to rename it to Devil's Tower for other purposes, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a tax thing. Maybe it's some kind of, maybe they can get more grants if they rename it or something. That's from Cynthia M. Lumens, Republican for Wyoming. Alright. S23, a bill to authorize an additional district judgeship for the District of Idaho. Mike Crapo, Senator, Republican from Idaho. It sounds to me, just like I said, I haven't looked into any of these. I'm just reading from what you see here. It sounds like he's just trying to get more judicial power within that district, or to get another judicial branch in that district. I'm not sure. Alright. S24, a bill to protect the personal health data of all Americans. I'm pretty sure they already have this. I believe that's a HIPAA law, isn't it? I'm not sure. If they don't have that, I think that's a good bill to pass. I really don't want my personal health data, being sold. But that's from Amy Klobuchar. She's introducing a lot of bills. Honestly, like I said, I don't really want to put my personal opinion on these bills. I just want to read them to you, but I kind of agree with that. S25, a bill to restrict certain federal grants for states that grant driver's licenses to illegal immigrants and fail to share information about criminal aliens with federal government. That's from Marsha Blackburn, Republican of Tennessee. Take it what you will about that bill. Like I said, it's so hard not to give your personal opinion when you read these things. And I don't want to be looked at, I don't want you guys thinking I'm partisan or anything. I personally can't vote anyways. I'm a felon, so just take my opinion if I give my opinion for what it's worth, which is nothing, because it's not like I can vote. But I agree with that. S26, a bill to provide the administrator of the Drug-Free Community Support Program the authority to waive the federal fund limitation for the Drug-Free Community Support Program. So basically, they're trying to do away with limitations that are put on that fund. That's what it sounds like to me. Rob Portman, Republican from Ohio. And as you can see, all these bills, I believe, were introduced the 22nd of January 2021. It's a lot of bills. I didn't realize they had so many bills go through, you know, at one time, but I guess they do. And like I said, all these are introduced. None of these are passed yet. A bill to require reporting of suspicious transmissions in order to assist in criminal investigations and counterintelligence activities relating to international terrorism and for other purposes. Now, see, this is from Joe Manchin, Democrat from, I believe that's West Virginia. I personally don't like this bill. It sounds to me like it kind of gives more authority than what's necessary to government agencies to spy on Americans. Granted, it says relating to international terrorism, but then it also says other purposes. So I think that's a little too broad. I hope they kind of narrow that down. And like I said, this isn't the full bill. This is just kind of a synopsis of the bill. So maybe they did in the bill narrow it down, but to me that just sounds kind of overreaching, and I hope that particular wording does not pass. All right, 15, S28, a bill to include the state of Florida in the Gulf of Mexico Outer Continental Shelf Revenue Sharing Program to extend the moratorium on oil and gas leasing in certain areas of the Gulf of Mexico and for other purposes. Now, this is from Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida. This just seems kind of like a money grab by the state of Florida. But then again, you know, the Gulf of Mexico is off the coast of Florida. So if they're out there drilling, you would think Florida would kind of have some sort of say-so or some kind of hand in the pot. You know, it's kind of only fair. But then again, I mean, it is the Gulf of Mexico, so it's not like it's right on Florida's coast. But, you know, take it for what you will. You know, it would be good for Florida, I believe, if they could get that passed. They could get more, you know, income from that. All right, S29, a bill to amend the Federal Water Pollution Control Act to reauthorize certain programs relating to non-point source management and for other purposes. This is from Amy Klobuchar again. I'll tell you what, she's been putting in a lot of bills, hasn't she? To me, this sounds like just kind of a restructuring of management for Federal Water Pollution Control Act. There's probably a lot of little details in there that you can go through. It kind of sounds like an omnibus type bill where they're just trying to rearrange all kinds of shit in there. S30, a bill to set forth a method of determining maximum out-of-pocket limits and annual updates to premium tax credit eligibility under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. This is from Jeanna Shaheen, Democrat from New Hampshire. So basically it's just trying to give some sort of guidelines or parameters to figure out the maximum out-of-pocket limit and annual updates to premium tax credit eligibility under the Patient Protection. So I guess there's not enough structure in that. I guess people are kind of confused about what to do, so I guess they're just trying to put forth some sort of, you know, some sort of guidelines. All right. Number 18, S31, a bill to limit the establishment or extension of national monuments in the state of Utah. That's from Mike Lee, Republican from Utah. Now, Utah does have a lot of monuments, and, you know, of course, that's federal land, so it's kind of trying to keep the federal government from, you know, basically keeping more land, which is good for the state. I kind of like that bill. And I realize I've been kind of saying I like Republican bills more than Democrat bills, but like I said, I'm a felon, so it's not like I can vote. Just take it for what it's worth. I'm really not partisan. I guess I am a little right-leaning to an extent, but please don't take it personal or anything. Like I said, you can have your own opinions about certain things, and so can I, and this is my channel. I can voice my opinion, and so can you in the comments. But please keep it civil. Alright, S33, a bill to amend Title 18 United States Code by increasing the maximum term of imprisonment for the offense of rioting and for other purposes. This is from Tom Cotton, Republican from Arizona. I personally, it just depends, man. It depends on what all these rioters do. You know what I mean? I don't want people getting slammed with years years and years and years just for, tagging something. You know what I mean? Just for spray painting something. But when it comes to violence, I mean, I think it should be considered violence. It should be considered a violent offense, and therefore, fall under that kind of jurisdiction as far as sentencing goes. So, I mean, I think that can get out of hand if they're not. That's the type of bill that can get out of hand as far as anything doing with law and imprisonment, sentencing, and things like that. You got to be really careful about how you word it, sentencing guidelines and things like that, because the laws are not, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes they're written in a way to where they're not fair and they're kind of overreaching, and I just don't want to see another law in the books that kind of puts people behind bars longer than is what necessary. You know what I mean? Just because it's a national conversation right now, I don't want people getting slammed, just because for political reasons. You know what I'm saying? All right, so S34, a bill to provide funding for cities, counties, and other units of general local government to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus. So it just sounds like coronavirus spending, that type of thing. That's from Christine Gillibrand, Democrat, New York. I'm sure there's other stuff in there in the fine print. There always is in all these bills. So S35, a bill to award Congressional Gold Medal to Officer Eugene Goodman. This is from Chris Holland, Democrat from Maryland. And I guess, I don't know if this officer was an officer in the Capitol riots or what, but, anytime you can recognize, a law enforcement or military or anybody for that matter for doing something that's good, I'm all for that. Even if it's for political purposes, that means a lot to people out here risking their lives. That's something they can always be proud of, something they can show their grandchildren. I mean, that's just it. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. All right, SJ Resolution 1, a joint resolution removing the deadline for ratification of Equal Rights Amendment. I'm not sure what that means. That's from Benjamin L. Cardin, Democrat from Maryland. Maryland's introducing a lot of bills here. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what that means. You can read into it. SJ Resolution 2, a joint resolution proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United... Now, see, that right off the bat, I don't like. I don't like anyone trying to mess with the Constitution. So we'll just keep reading. Constitution of the United States relative to the line item veto, the limitation on the number of terms that a member of Congress may serve, and requiring vote of 2/3 of the membership of both houses in Congress on any legislation raising or imposing these. Well, you know what? After I read that, I kind of do like that. That's from Rick Scott, Republican of Florida. I mean, I think these people really do need term limits. I do think that it's not really fair that once, one side or the other gets the majority, they can basically pass whatever they want to. I do think they should require 2/3 of votes. That way, we'd have more reason for each side to work together. And I do like the term limits. I do like the 2/3 vote on raising taxes and imposing new taxes. I do like that. So without reading into it, I kind of want that to pass. All right. 25, a joint resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the United States. See, I don't like amendments to but then again, I like that last one. So, relative to limiting the number of terms that a member of Congress may serve. That's from Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas. I like this. I do like that. Most Americans, most of the public, want these people in office to have term limits. I mean, they get in there and they serve for 20, 30, 40 years mooching off the taxpayers, and whether they're Democrat or Republican, I mean, there's no reason for that. Get in there, do the best job you can, serve your country, and get the hell out. Make room. I mean, there's no reason for you to be a politician for 20, 30 years. So I like this resolution. I hope it passes. Resolution 4, a joint resolution proposing another amendment to the Constitution of the United States to require that the Supreme Court of the United States be composed of not more than 9 justices. This is from Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida. So this is basically to try and keep from stacking the court. You know, that's been a conversation in the media going on the past year almost. As far as this is concerned, I don't really know too much about it, but it sounds like a good idea. You know, you don't want just to be able to pack the court, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I'd have to read more into that. Resolution 5, a joint resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the United States requiring that federal budget be balanced. And I agree with that. Mike Lee, Republican of Utah, you know, if states have to balance their budget, the federal government should have to balance their budget as well. I just think that's common sense. I realize there's instances during wartime and, you know, national disasters, things of that nature that come up that, you know, it keeps you from doing that. But as a guideline, you know, the federal government should have to try and keep a balanced budget. So I think that should already be in the damn Constitution. I don't know why it isn't, or if it isn't, but it should be. So I think it should be passed. S-Con Resolution 3, a concurrent resolution authorizing the use of the rotunda of the Capitol for the lying in state of the remains of the last Medal of Honor recipient of World War II in order to honor the greatest generation and the more than 16,000 or 16 million men and women who served in the armed forces of the United States 1941 and 1945. I guess that's 16 million. Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia. I kind of agree with that. You know, if they want to make a little monument for a Medal of Honor recipient of World War II, that's fine and dandy. Just don't overspend with taxpayer dollars, you know. And I don't know about labeling it the greatest generation, you know. I don't know if I agree with that. You know, some generations I feel are in contendency for that. So, S Resolution 12, a resolution memorializing the unborn by lowering the United States flag to half-staff on January 22nd. Now, see, I think this is a little too partisan to pass. You know, this is a big partisan issue. Republican, Democrat, abortion, you know, right of choice, that nature. I don't think they will be able to get this passed regardless of how anybody feels about it. You know, if people want to lower their flag, so be it, you know, but I don't think they can make it a national thing, you know what I mean? I just don't think they have the power in Congress or anybody, you know, I just don't think there's enough. The country's too divided for that. So, S Resolution 13, a resolution expressing the sense of the Senate that the International Olympic Committee should rebid the 2020 Winter Olympic Games to be hosted by a country that recognizes and respects human rights. That's from Rick Scott, Republican of Florida. I agree. You know, if the United States puts up a lot of money for these National Olympics, a lot of our athletes put a lot of time and effort. You know, if our country is going to participate in such events, it needs to be hosted by a country that, you know, has morals and standings that, you know, kind of align with American principles. I mean, I just don't think it's right for our athletes to go over there and represent America and for us to give up all kinds of money to these games if it's going to be hosted by a country that doesn't kind of live up to our ideals. You know, we can have our own Olympics. You know what I mean? We can still allow the athletes to compete and gain glory and that kind of stuff. But then again, you have to look at it from a foreign relations standpoint. You know, it's kind of the American foreign relations type thing to go over to other countries that don't hold our views and kind of promote our views so that maybe change can occur someday. So, I mean, it's kind of a two-sided coin there, but I do think that if we're going to have the Olympics in a country that we doesn't really have the ideals we share, then they shouldn't get a lot of money from us. You know what I'm saying? All right, so S Resolution 14, a resolution designating January 23rd, 2021 as Maternal Health Awareness Day. You know, there's just too many days dedicated to things, to be honest with you. I just don't think they mean anything. I don't think, I mean, yeah, it gains awareness to certain issues and topics, but there's just so much, you know, people are just trying so hard to, you know what I'm saying. It's just, it's too much. It's too much. You know, if you agree with that sort of thing, you know, whatever. But I don't think it should be designated by the federal government. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it's whatever. You know what I mean? That's from Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey. You know, there's more important matters to be that they should be using their time with, basically. That's what I think. You know, I just think these are just filler bills that just, I don't know. I just don't know. So, there you go. That's all the bills from January 22nd, 2021. Like I said, this isn't really of an overview of any of these bills. You can go in and research them yourself. And like I said, if you agree or disagree, you're more than welcome to get a hold of those senators that introduced those bills, showing your support, or, you know, even other senators that you want to get on board or disagree with the bill. You can contact them about those bills. And yeah, that's really all I'm trying to do, is just bring awareness to what's going on with these bills and things like that. You know, a lot of bills get introduced all the time, you know, and they just sit on the desk, or they fail right off the bat, you know, or they'll get passed in the House, move to the Senate, and then they'll just be tabled, you know. So I think if we bring more awareness to what's actually going on within the government, more people can get on board, or at least participate in the process, to where things move a little quicker. Because as we all know, federal government, I mean, it takes forever to do anything. And I believe a lot of that is due to the fact that the American population just is not noticing or taking part in the process. So I hope this channel kind of does a little bit more for that. We'll see how this video does, and if it does decently, then this might be what the channel's about from now on. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Thought I'd share it. And if you like, please subscribe and like, share it. Yeah, there you go.